It's bulb planting day, and we are getting prepped and ready for all of the beautiful spring bulbs to shine. But first, we got to put things away and put all the bulbs in. Quick bulb check. Everything looks firm and clean and good to go. Spencer dug us 12-inch by 4-inch holes for our small alliums, while I used our Garden Answer Edition auger to aug 3-inch holes kind of all over the garden for the larger allium bulbs. Start raining. Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. Today we are planting bulbs and promises of the future. So whenever we plant bulbs, it looks like nothing is happening, but I know that in a few months they're going to be bursting full of color, which is why we plant bulbs, right? So today you saw us move our daffodils, which were in plastic containers that we had along a back fence line. I plant all of my daffodils in containers because they tend to rot in the ground where we live. We are on the Oregon coast in a zone 9A, so we don't get that hard frost, but we do get a lot of rain, and our bulbs tend to rot. Daffodils definitely seem to be susceptible to that. So we've been planting them in pots, and they come back every year very nicely. But what I don't love is the old icky foliage that you have to let photosynthesize and turn yellow and brown and look like a mess. So because I have them in containers, I just take them out of the garden and I put them in the backyard behind a fence so that they can take up all the sun that they need, completely, die back, and then they could just hang out there for the summer. But during the wintertime, I like to bring them into a garage or a closed space, or in this case, we put it in a shed that doesn't, it's all open, but it has an overhang to protect it from rain so we don't have that rotting problem. And then once they start sprouting new sprouts in the spring, I will truck them out to the front yard and enjoy them wherever we place them. What else did we do? Oh, we've been planting alliums. So we have a bed that's full of alliums now, but I wanted more alliums in more places. And I've been having trouble with moles in my rose garden. So I thought, why not just put alliums? They're an onion family and they are very pungent smelling. And maybe they'll deter the moles a little bit. And, roses love garlic. Garlic is in the onion family. Maybe it'll be a good companion option. So we planted Gladiator and Stratos in the rose garden, which get around 3 foot tall, sometimes taller. The Gladiator has a bigger bloom, but the Stratos just kind of hold up a little bit better, and they're easier to make flower arrangements with. We also planted drumstick alliums, which are shorter at 24 inches tall, much smaller head, deeper purple with like a little green collar. And so we did 9 groupings of around 10 alliums in each group. In the rose garden, we did 5 along the walkways, and then we put 3 more out in the front of the garden, and then we did 1 right across from the rose garden to just sort of like bring the allium look all the way through from the front of the garden to the back of the garden. Now we're going to work on Muscari, which is a grape hyacinth. And last year we had a whole river of Muscari on one side of our walkway, and it was so beautiful that we want to do it on the other side so that we have like this blue ribbon of grape hyacinth on both sides of our walkway. So in order to do that, I need to now remove all of the mulch in this. Basically, we made like a little ditch to plant the allium or plant the Muscari in, which we already did. So we're going to remove the mulch, and we're going to do 1 more head or edging on the grass so it's nice and tidy. And then we're going to put some compost down, some plant tone. I'm using plant tone today because I'm out of bulb tone, but both work great. And then we'll put in the river of Muscari, and then we'll cover it back up with mulch. The other thing that I'm going to do is we have this candy tuft, which is starting to bloom, but I want to tidy it up a little bit. So I'm just going to hedge the edges, but not the top, because I don't want to lose the blooms. So I'm going to get started on that, and then we'll kind of walk through what we did at the end. Okay, let's get the plant tone done. And then we'll just throw all these bulbs in here. Do you think we should put like a few where it's kind of spotty?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got spares.
maybe not that many. Okay, so here is what things are looking like. I just threw the bulbs in the ditch and I just turned them exactly where they are so that their roots are facing down and the pointy end is up. And I don't try to make anything be perfectly lined up because I want it to look a little bit more natural. So if there's gaps or if there's spaces where they're really clustered, that's fine. And then we're just taking compost from our compost pile and filling in the ditch over the top. I'm also filling in a couple of areas over here where the muscari is already coming up from our planting last year among some weeds. This is all muscari, but you can see it's kind of like empty right here. So I just threw some bulbs right here and I'll just kind of dig down in there and stick them in there to, like, you know, it's fine that there's some gaps, but when there's this like huge places missing, it's nice to be able to fill in those gaps a little bit. And when we go ahead and do a little kind of like a succession planting every year, we're that much more guaranteed to continue to get blooms every year. It is starting to rain, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can and button things up. Okay. Awesome. We got about 120 alliums in the ground and 100 muscari, and you'll never know until next year. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed so that you get a notification every time I post a new video, and I will definitely be keeping you updated on when all of these bulbs bloom, because believe me, when this walkway is flanked by a ribbon of blue muscari, it is so beautiful. I can't wait to see it doubled up next year. All right, so I'm just going to kind of walk around and show you where things ended up so you kind of have more of a visual. So as you know, we just planted 100, well, a little less than 100 muscari in this area, and a good handful, maybe 20, 25 on this side where there's already 100. I planted a little pocket of drumstick alliums right there. And we have 2 pockets of alliums, drumsticks out there, and like 7 of the ambassadors. No, the stratos. And then underneath this bed, underneath the sumac, we put another 7 Stratos alliums and a little pocket of drumstick alliums over there. And this bed already has, I don't know, a dozen or two of alliums in them, along with columbine. And then over here in the rose garden, along the walkway, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 groupings of alliums, and then just little random, you know, I think there's like 3 here and 5 there and 8 back there and a handful over there of the Stratos alliums, and then I dotted the 4 ambassadors that we have throughout that space. So that is all of our bulb planting for today. I'm also super excited that I got the daffodils protected for the winter, and I have peace of mind that they're not out there rotting. We still have tulips, hyacinths, and crocus to plant, which I'll do after we lift our dahlias. So we'll be doing that this month, but in a little, probably the next sunny day or non-pouring down rain day. But we just have our rose garden is looking nice and tidy. We can now mulch over there, which is fantastic. I really like to mulch in the fall and winter so that in the spring everything already has a really nice thick layer of mulch that I don't have to, that can help prevent as much as you can with weeding. So so that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're dreaming of tomorrow, that you're planning for the future, that you're doing something, you're taking action on your dreams, like planting bulbs, and having faith that they'll come up in the future. And that's going to be all for today's video. I hope you're celebrating your life, and I'll see you in the next one.